Welcome to Ready to Exhale, where we center Black women, their lived experiences, expertise, and rich stories. In each episode, we will gain a deeper understanding of what it takes to hold space for our own well-being. This is a brave space where you will be inspired to express your joy and live in the fullness of who you are. It's also a place where we are no longer waiting to exhale. So now, get ready to exhale and enjoy the show. Aseanté Renee is the founder and chief wellness officer at the Exxon Group, a transformative coach firm focused on pathways to sustainable growth in support of individuals, small groups, and corporate wellness. In practice, Aseanté is an executive and performance coach with over 2 decades of experience in trauma-informed care. Much of her expertise lives at the intersection of healing, wellness, leadership, and career advancement. She is also the executive director of the So-So House, a nonprofit that elevates healing, equity, and access while eliminating financial barriers to people of the global majority through sponsored retreats, workshops, trainings, and community events. Aseanté has also launched the Retiring Superwoman campaign, a resource and respite for melanated women. I hope that you enjoy this conversation that I got to have with Aseanté. All right. Well, I'm excited to talk with you today. I've read your bio. People have got a little peek from that into who you are. But Aseanté, welcome to Ready to Exhale, the podcast.
Hello, Katara. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This is kind of a last minute thing to my listeners. It was just kind of a last minute thing. I was like, I need to have Aseanté on the podcast like this week. We need to record. So she so graciously accepted my invitation at the last minute, and we're here today to chat.
When you call, I answer.
Thank
Always.
you for that. Thank you for that. My fellow sister, my fellow colleague in the work of healing. I'd like you to take a few moments and just share a little bit about you, the work that you do with our listeners.
Who I am. I am a true Southern girl, Texas girl. You may hear that when I'm talking, when I get excited. I am a recovering perfectionist. I am a recovering superwoman who's trying to move into retirement. I am a healer. I am family. I am friend. I am sister. I am sister friend. I am out here just trying to breathe. I am a woman that is very clear in her purpose, and that is to help people create lives they do not need to escape. And I am fiercely protective of that purpose, which means I'm fiercely protective of Black women.
Hello.
Hi.
What an introduction. Fiercely protective of Black women. Tell us about your journey to get to where you are. I've read your bio prior to this episode. What I know about bios is that there are spaces in between the lines, the words, which tells me a lot happens. A lot has happened, right? There's a whole backstory to the bio, and we don't have to go into all the things, but I am curious about your journey and what led you here to the work that you do, to the person that you are, to fiercely protecting Black women. Like, how'd you get here?
I would say I actually have the privilege of returning. I think there has always been a part of me. There has always been a through line, and no matter what industry I've worked in, that has always been about helping people, protecting people, supporting people, healing people. And I have finally, after a few decades around the sun, have figured out how to block away all the noise and push away all the frivolousness and take away all the fringe and really truly return to who I am, because I've always been this. No matter the role, this has been me. I
Mm-hmm.
remember reading Maya Angelou's "I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings" when I was really young, and was like, oh, okay. So adults can have like 9 to 10 careers. Got it. Noted. That's all I needed to know. I've never been the type of person that knew when I was young I wanted to do this one thing in my life. I just knew I liked people and I liked helping people. And I'm a nurturer and I'm curious and I'm nosy. So I, I finally found something that allows me to be all those things. And so people give it different titles. I've worked in tech, I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in social justice reform, I've worked in nonprofits, I've worked in ministry, I've worked in a full gamut, of spaces. I've worked in policy. And the through line has always been helping people, protecting people, supporting people, healing people. And so now, as I'm sitting in a space as a licensed therapist and in practice, an executive coach, and these are all just fancy things that you put on your W 2 to just say, I am a healer who is here to be here for others. I am someone who stands in the gap because I did not have that in spaces where I needed it. And so I'm creating it in spaces for others. So my pain and my harm isn't wasted on me. It can
Hmm.
be learned, it can be alchemized into a way that can help other people. So in this season, that's why I'm here and that's what
Hmm.
I'm doing. I don't like to this is what I'm doing the rest of my life. I know in this
Sure.
season, however long that lasts, this
Yeah.
is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. So good. Well, we did a spontaneous call last week.
We did. We
About a
did.
week ago yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
in response to the election results, and the impact that that result has on Black women.
Mm-hmm.
We were all feeling it. Um, and you reached out and was like, hey, well, you asked a very powerful question, first of all. That was the reach out was a question.
It was. Well, I usually have to check in before I ask people to do
Mhm.
something. I want to check your capacity.
It was
Yeah.
just such, I remember reading the question you asked, what feelings are, what did you say? What feelings
Loud,
are loud?
loud.
What feelings are loud for you? And I remember picking up my phone and reading that question, and I sat back. I remember kind of like, whew, sitting back and rereading and rereading and rereading and then responding. Um, there were so many things that was just flooding, emotions that were flooding um, me that day, flooding you, flooding most Black women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was such a powerful moment for me to pause and reflect and like bring my attention back to myself
Mm-hmm.
and to check in here. You checking in caused me to check in with me, which was so
Mm-hmm.
powerful. And just thank you for that. Thank you for
Of
that.
course. Of course.
Um, and so we had a back and forth, and then you were like, so I feel like we should hold space for Black women. Like, you want to do it? You want to do this thing? I have a Zoom link I could send out. And I was like, yeah, sure. Tell me why, which was, and we can get into the why that's so powerful and what happened, but we don't have to get into the details. But tell me why spaces like these, spaces like we spontaneously created last Thursday, are so important right now.
Mm. I think those spaces have always been important. I think what happened was we had a perfect storm of space and opportunity. Those spaces have always been important for Black women, but because Black women are holding so many things for so many people so much of the time, we either don't get opportunities to be held in spaces. And then, even deeper than that, we don't even realize we need to have opportunities to be held in those spaces. I like to call it couch time. You just, those moments in, like, maybe our early 20s or early 30s, you would just pop up over to your girlfriend's house and just sit on the couch and do nothing. She may be cleaning, she may be working on something, she may not even be there, she may leave and come back. But it's something about being able to breathe and be safe and speak without speaking and communicate without talking, with another Black woman, that is healing to us. And, full transparency, I wanted to do the call on Wednesday, but I was so broken and so distraught and so heavy that I had to take my own advice. Because a lot of times, as healers, especially when we're grieving, actually, this is all Black women, when we're grieving, our grief immediately alchemizes into action because we haven't often been given space to just be. Because most grief comes around something deeply traumatic. And a lot of our DNA, we have a lot of deeply traumatic experiences that when they happen, we were required to round up everyone, to care for everyone, to nurture everyone, to sew the broken pieces back together.
Mm-hmm.
And so our default is action, not pausing. And so I had to take my own advice on Wednesday because I was like, I think I'm gonna have a call. I'm gonna have a call. And all I could do was lay there. All
Yeah.
I could do was just be held by some other friends. And once I did that, it then gave me energy to just hold space and be a container, for Black women on Thursday, to which I still didn't have to do much. I just
Mm.
opened up my couch, opened up my home. And we will do the rest when we have those spaces. And so I think this moment is finally allowing us to give ourselves permission to take the space, to
Yeah.
acknowledge we need it, and to take the space. And I think more than anything, that's what was so important on Thursday. That's what's so important with every call that different people are having. That's what's so important about the calls that will come after our conversation.
Mm.
Realizing you get to take the space and know the space will probably feel uncomfortable right now because we're not used to being held. We're not used to being still and whatever feelings are coming up for us. We're not used to our feelings not automatically moving into action. And so there will be a lot of discomfort in these spaces, and the discomfort is good.
Mm-hmm. I think it's so important for us to sit with how we feel.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do, especially when it's not happy feelings. It is
Yeah.
grief. And our, I think, initial reaction is to run from those big, hard, quote unquote, hard emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to sit here. And that
I'll
was,
fix it.
yeah, I just want to fix it. I just want to make it better. And
Mm-hmm.
what was so beautiful about the container that um, we co-created together last week was it was just about being.
Mm-hmm.
It was just about feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction and the response was just so much gratitude for just us holding space for what was coming up. And it was hard for some folks, right? It was hard, but it was beautiful. There was such uh, it was just really beautiful.
And so many different responses, right? Some
Yes.
women were leaning into the I don't know what to do with these emotions and I'm tired. Some
Right.
women were leaning into it is our obligation to do something for the country. Like we had the full gamut of emotions. And I think
Yeah.
allowing, reiterating that component of Black people, specifically Black women, are not a monolith. And so we can have the full range of emotions around this
Mm-hmm.
experience and how we want to care for ourselves. And none of those feelings are wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Don't discredit someone else's, but also
Right.
you get to have yours and whatever that looks like. And so I hope it also created a space for women to see that, oh, there are going to be other Black women who don't think like me around next steps and what this means and how we should care for ourselves. And that's still my sister. And that's still okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still
Yeah.
okay.
And that's still okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit, but as Black women, sometimes our first reaction is to do something instead of sitting with how we feel. Um, you're a therapist.
Mhm.
Why is it important for us to sit with our emotions? Like, why is that really critical for us as
Yeah.
humans?
Mm. So many words just came to my to my mind, and I want to figure out the best way to name this. Actually, I'm just going to pause for a second
Sure.
because that's such a big question. It's so 80% of what happens to us happens in our bodies. 20%
Mm,
of what happens to us happens in our mind. But we spend 80% of the time in our mind and only 20% of the time in our bodies. Our
mm,
bodies, our bodies know, our bodies know before our brains, but our brains will talk us out of what our bodies know. And it's gotten really good at it. It's gotten really good at it. So a lot of times we think our feelings instead of feeling our feelings. And so pausing to
mm,
actually feel your feelings allows you to have a true gauge of what's going on. Where am I
mm,
being triggered? Where am I being excited? Where is my ego showing up? Where am I projecting? Where am I making this about me? Where am I not making this enough about me? Why does this, my body is having and even if I can't put words to it, my body is having a reaction to this.
yeah.
And so then it goes from our body having a reaction and our brain trying to explain it away to our body is having a reaction and our brain gets curious about that reaction. And then
Mm.
it informs how we frame what's happening to
That's so good. I think I want to have a therapy session with you. No.
us. Let me also say I name these things not as an expert, but as someone who is equally struggling with them, which is
Yeah.
why I can speak to them the way that I can. Because
Yeah.
still working through it too. Still on the journey, just like everyone
Yeah.
else.
I love the brain getting curious about what the body is saying, what the body is feeling, what's coming
Mm-hmm.
up in the body.
Yeah. We dismiss ourselves before anyone else does. We dismiss our
Mm.
feelings before anyone else does. And so feeling our feelings is actually an honoring of ourselves, a protection of ourselves. Because when I know what I know, you cannot gaslight me because I know what I know. But if I don't check into what I know and what I feel before I start responding to it or trying to make it make sense, I am
Mm.
much more susceptible to outside influences, and not even outside influences that are in front of me, but outside influences that may be imprinted on me from childhood that has created certain beliefs that I have that aren't actually true, that aren't actually mine.
Mm.
So
That's why
feelings,
embodiment is so important.
yeah,
Practicing embodiment, like embodiment practices,
yeah,
movement, um, like being in your body. Sometimes it's a work, it's we have to work at getting back into our body
mm-hmm,
because societal norms have, especially for Black women, have caused us to be disembodied, to be kind of separated, or
mm-hmm,
this idea that I'm not connected to my
yeah.
body.
Well, it's a coping mechanism. You hear all the
Absolutely.
time, if I start crying, I'll never stop. Because we know once we feel so deep, we are so connected to humanity that we feel everything so deeply that part of our coping for generations of trauma is disassociation, is disconnecting from those feelings because there is that if I start crying, I won't stop. But the thing is, you will. Because if you don't
Mhm.
start crying, you'll never heal.
The wisdom bombs. Boom, boom. I'm literally on the other side for those of you that are not seeing this via video. I'm like sitting back in my chair. I'm like, there's so many things that you are saying that carries such deep wisdom. Deep
Thank you.
wisdom. So
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you
And
for that.
I know it's not easy. Even when the things I'm naming now, like I'm very aware. Oh, that sounded good. How do you do it though? I don't know, sis. I'm still learning too. And so I also want to bring that into the room. Naming it and understanding it and being aware of it is very different than implementing it. Now, awareness is
Mm,
important and it is the first piece. But what often happens is we become aware and then we become very perfectionist in how we try to make
mm,
our healing happen and we don't leave space for grace, which creates shame and guilt and healing fatigue. And so please know when I'm saying all these things, one, I am still saying it to myself. And two, I
mm,
understand it is easier to acknowledge it than to implement it. And it does take time
mm,
and work and pauses and setbacks. So if you are hearing this and you're like, I don't even know what to do with that, that's okay. That's
mm,
okay.
mhm, mhm.
None of what we're talking about is to shame or guilt anyone to feel like
Yeah,
they're not far enough.
yeah. What's a baby step for those that are listening that are like, if I start crying, I won't stop. I don't know how to feel. I don't know that I want to turn toward
Mm-hmm.
how I'm
The feeling.
feeling, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there a baby step that we can take for those that are listening? They're like, "Ooh, oh,"
Yeah.
and they stay
Yeah.
busy and they keep moving even after the results of the election last week. I mean, I saw it. I saw it with some of my colleagues, some of my friends, some of my family moving into action
Mm-hmm.
and us having conversations about, hold on a second,
Mm-hmm.
what's coming
Mm-hmm.
up for you and let's feel that. So what is a I feel like it's like Mother May I that
Right.
game. Can I take a baby
Right.
step or a giant?
What's my baby step?
I just want to take a baby step. I don't want to take a giant step. I just want to take a baby step.
I'm gonna be honest, they're already taking the baby step by still listening. If you're still listening
Mm,
to us right now, that is a baby step because I'm pretty sure it's something we've said already has made you feel uncomfortable, but you're still listening. That's the baby
yeah.
step. Second baby step, exhale. No pun intended. Breathe,
Hmm.
breathe.
Yeah.
Breathing does so much to reset our nervous system, even if only for a moment. Um, for my fellow type A people, and you're like, but I need to put words to it. Go look up feeling wheels. There are feeling wheels that actually take our emotions, because most of the time people relegate emotions to happy, sad, angry, horny, hungry, right? I don't know,
Hmm.
something there. But often when we say that we're angry, we're not actually angry, we're feeling afraid.
Mm.
We're not actually feeling afraid, we're feeling rejection, we're feeling helpless. And so I do this too. I actually was talking to my therapist on Tuesday or on Wednesday, and she asked me a question. I was like, I don't know how I feel. And I pulled up a feeling wheel. I'm a whole therapist with student loan debt to prove it. And I still pulled up a whole feeling wheel to figure out how I felt about a situation. And so I would say,
Yeah.
pull up a feeling wheel. There's an amazing
Mm.
healer, practitioner, therapist named Melissa Eiffel. You can actually go to her website, melissaeiffel.com, and under her resources, she has a really amazing feeling wheel that she utilizes. And
Mm.
so that's one of the ones that I reference quite often. And so, yeah, I would say the fact that you're still listening, baby step,
Mm.
taking a deep breath,
Mhm.
baby step, looking
Mhm.
at what your actual emotional range options are, baby step, allowing yourself, you'll get to a place when you allow yourself to cry because the
Yeah.
crying is not the end goal.
Mm.
It's just one step.
Mm. So good. Yeah. So those listeners that are still tuned in, you're taking
Your
a
baby
step.
stepping. You
You
stepping,
are
girl, you stepping.
you are stepping. You are leaning in.
Mm-hmm.
And we're proud of you for that.
Absolutely.
Proud of you for that. As Black women, we have everyday stressors, and those stressors are compounded by systemic racism. This stress weathers our mental and emotional health. It's imperative to move this stress out of our bodies so we can live healthier and happier lives. Exhale app is a resource to partner with you in your well-being journey. To download, go to the App Store and Google Play. Now, let's get back to our episode. Well, exhale, I've been talking about this on every episode with every guest. My survey, my team and I did, where we surveyed over 1,000 Black women, 1,005 Black women, around their mental, emotional, and physical health. And some of the results and survey data I've been bringing to the podcast just to discuss with my guests. And I want to discuss this one. 66% of the women surveyed, of the 1,005 women surveyed, say they overexert themselves to excel in the workplace and to take care of personal responsibilities. 65% say they overexert themselves. Black women put so much work into this election cycle. Some of my friends and colleagues really went hard.
Yeah.
As we do most elections. This isn't but went hard. I'd like to talk about the importance of rethinking how we overexert ourselves and ways we can start to prioritize ourselves. In my question, I had pull back, but that feels like not right to say, almost like putting ourselves, like bringing ourselves to the center, bringing ourselves forward and prioritizing us versus this work, overexerting ourselves. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
I believe we need to start with the why. You said when in the question you asked, how do Black women overexert themselves? I think the first question is why do we feel the need to? Part of why I started the Retiring Superwoman campaign is because of my own realization around my value being tethered to my labor, my output, and my productivity. And that is by design. Those of us that have any type of enslaved history, we were honestly only as valuable as what we created, what we produced, what we birthed. That is a generational messaging and trauma that has been imprinted on us. And we have internalized it to some extent because that's when we are celebrated. When we are the resilient one, when we are the nurturer, when we are the healer. And we are punished when we are human. And so the messaging that we've been told is our value only resides when we can do, when we can offer, when we can fix, when we can hold. And so for us, it's understanding why is my value tethered to that? And how can I reframe that so my value purely comes from the fact that I am breathing, I am here, I am in this full body, as Mariah Carey would say, doing the best I can with what I got. And I believe this election hit a little differently for two reasons. One, because what we saw happening to Kamala is what we see in so many aspects of our lives. We see that mirrored in so many aspects of our lives. This is someone who has worked in every branch of government, has multiple degrees, is clearly the most qualified on paper as you would name what a president should look like, and it still wasn't enough. And I say enough in quotation marks. And we looked at that, and it wasn't just about this election. It was, we feel like that at work. We feel like that in our marriages. We feel like that in our partnerships. We feel like that in our friendship groups. We feel like that in our families. It is never enough. We can't fall on our sword enough.
Mm.
And we are exhausted from that. We're exhausted from that. And then, secondly, there is this understanding and there is this belief that if I do just a little bit more, I'll get the appreciation, I'll
Mm.
get the external validation. And that isn't coming. And so, the second piece to why this election was so hard, I believe, for so many Black women, including myself, is because we're grieving hope. And yes, we may get mad when Black women come to fix something and come to save the day and come to do all the things, but it ends up working. We're mad that we had to do it, but it works. The event plays out. The money gets raised. The person gets helped. The project gets finished.
Mm.
We're mad that we have to do it, but it works. And this time it didn't work.
Mm.
This time we did everything we could and it wasn't enough. And because of our internalized stuff, many of us on some level are blaming ourselves still. And we may not even realize we are. It's like, I did everything I could and it still didn't work. And so the grief is like, I couldn't fix it. Why couldn't I fix it? It
Mm.
wasn't meant for us to fix it. And so we are undoing and unlearning so many things
Yeah.
that this election became the catalyst for. And it's hard and it's a breaking open of
Yeah.
something that needed to be broken. But with anything, when you grow, the thing that used to protect you is the thing you must break to grow. And I'm going to
Mm.
say that again. The thing that once protected you is the thing that must break to grow. And so now we're in our
Mm.
breaking.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
pulling back looks like, why am I the one that always steps up and says, I'll do it? Why am I the one who always initiates the planning? Why am I the one who overextends myself and then gets mad when someone else has boundaries? So we then look at other people's boundaries as a betrayal to us. How dare you not overexert yourself? However, how dare you not overextend like me? And so
Mm.
first I would say, figure out why you need that external validation
Yeah.
from others. We're not going to get
Mm.
into how you get it to yourself because that's I think sometimes people like you figure out why you need it from others and then you just give it to you. If I could just give it to me, I would.
If it was that easy, I'd be doing it.
If it was that, I absolutely
Yeah.
loathe that social media version of therapy right now. It's all you
Mm.
have to do is no, you don't stop. If anytime someone says that, get off their page,
Yeah.
shut down the video.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question.
So good. Uh, we need to do a part two and a part three and a part four.
I'm here. I'm here for all the parts.
Oh, it's so
I'm here for all the
good.
parts.
Tell me a little bit more about your campaign, Retiring Superwoman.
Yes. So again, retiring Superwoman came to be because the end of 2023 was hella disrespectful and rude and painful and hard for me. And I went into 2024 and I had nothing left and I was burned out. And I started to do the work of asking myself the questions that needed to be asked that I didn't want to answer, and also that no one had ever asked me around how I got here. And in that process, I started to really lean into the superwoman syndrome and what I needed to do to retire it. And as with most campaigns and things I put out there, on some level, it's because I've either gone through it or I'm still on some level going through it. And so
Mhm.
I mean, when I say I'm on the journey with the people I'm in healing communities with.
Mm.
And so the campaign started February 29th of this year because I wanted to do something on a day that we don't often see for people that we don't often care for. And so on February 29th, we started the Retiring Superwoman campaign. And for the next 5 weeks, every Thursday, we went to a different venue in New York that was Black owned. And for 2 hours, every Black woman that came in, we gave them one of the products for free. No questions
Mm.
asked. no labor required, just because you were present. And it was just a small token of, you don't have to exert yourself or give things to always receive kindness and love. You get to just receive kindness and love.
Mm.
And so then that turned into a few workshops just around why we have the capes that we have. Like, I know there's some capes that, Black women, like, I have to take care of my family. I'll never not be a mom. I'll never not be, the caregiver of my family members. I'll never not be this role. But a lot of us walking around here, like, it's fashion week. Like, we got 9, 10, 12 capes on. And I'm just saying, sis, maybe take one off today. Maybe don't put
Yeah.
all of them on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's really what the campaign is about. Like, how do
Mm.
we start twofold, removing some of these capes, and then
Yeah.
figuring out, well, one, figuring out why we need these capes, understanding we no longer need these capes. We never did need these capes. And then us
Mm.
being okay with releasing them. Because sometimes
Mhm.
people take off the cape, we'll put it back on ourselves because we need that, our value still tethered to it. And so
Mm.
that has been the work. And I can officially say our inaugural conference, Retiring Superwoman, is now happening in New York in March of 2025. It is
Yes.
happening. So more details to
That's
come. We would
so
love to have Exhale.
exciting.
Love, love, love to have you all as a part of it.
Of
But it's
course.
happening. But it's ultimately about
Ah,
just creating spaces for us to return to us, to turn our energy and our love and our nurturing um, abilities and our power, to give it to us, to be us to us.
So powerful. Uh, I can't wait. We'll talk offline about that because I want to
Yes, please.
be a part of all that. I want to come, I want to
Absolutely.
attend, I want to help. However we can be a part of it. I
Absolutely.
would love that. Something that I keep hearing throughout our conversation today that just keeps rising to the top is curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
Curiosity about our feelings, curiosity about overexerting ourselves, curiosity about our capes, curiosity about why do I have to be this for every single person? Why? Like curiosity, curiosity, curiosity. And I think there's so much power in just pausing and getting curious about what's coming up for you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Or why am I doing that? Why am I showing up that way? Why am I? And it's not um for those that are listening, it's not get getting curious is another thing that you need to do or have to do.
Right.
But I do think that there's something really powerful in just asking the questions, like turning toward yourself and saying, why? Like, why? And just getting curious. I know I
Mm-hmm.
found in my coaching practice as a coach that that's what I do with the Black women that I coach that are my clients is asking curious questions. So what we do throughout our time together is just asking curious questions and how that curiosity really does move the needle um, for people toward the life that they want to live and the person that they want to be. Um, so I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to name that I'm hearing that and that's been like this little common thread that I'm seeing throughout this whole episode is curiosity and how there's real power in getting curious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Curiosity, you nailed it. You nailed it. Um, Curiosity is the antidote to judgment.
Mm,
Curiosity curbs judgment, because when you
mm,
get curious, there's a why. Why is this like this? I wonder. Versus judgment is more like, how dare you? So curiosity allows the question mark. Judgment is more of a period. It makes the
Curiosity
statement.
creates space for
Yeah.
yourself,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
It gives you freedom. It gives you freedom
yeah.
to not know the answer. versus judgment that demands it. And so,
Mm. So good. So for those of you who are listening, I think another baby step you can take is getting curious.
there
Just
you go.
being curious about what's coming up for you, being curious about the capes,
Mm-hmm.
right? All of the things, getting curious.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us, I want to take a little peek, if you'll let us, into
Sure.
your self-care practices.
Mm.
Um, First of all, how do you define self-care? And then what are
Mm.
some of your practices, if you would like to share?
Sure. One, I think that word has gotten, like most things, I don't want to say tokenized, but it's
Mm-hmm.
lost some of its fervor. It's lost its
Mm-hmm.
intent. Uh,
Mm.
and so instead of just using the phrase like, "What is your self care routine?" I have had to like work on myself and say, "How am I caring for myself in this season?"
Yeah.
And the question that I often have to ask is, "What does my body need right now?"
Mm.
I can't always give it to myself. I'm going to be honest. I don't always have the privilege of giving myself what my body needs at the moment, but at least the awareness of what I need, I can at least plan to give it to myself at some point.
Yeah.
Um, and so that is, and I ask daily. I ask moment to moment if something pivots. Like I don't do well with things changing on a dime really quick. And so I'm like, oh, okay. What do you, I told you I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I'm like, all right, what do I need? What do I need in this moment? I need
Yeah.
to be in control. You can't be in control. What can you do? I can take a breath. Okay, I can take a breath. That's a moment of self-care.
Yes.
And so it's truly my routine, my regimen is asking what I need and then adhering to that, doing that. Um, so in this particular season, the way I'm caring for myself is grief and protection.
Mm.
And I know people may not think grief is a form of caring for yourself, but for me, it is. Because once I can fully grieve something, then I can start to imagine something better. I can imagine something different. I'm not emotionally constipated.
Oh,
Um,
oh, hello.
yeah. And I know grief is a privilege
Mm.
that many of us have not had. Like we don't
Sure.
have the luxury of pausing for grief. We don't have the luxury of that. And I think this moment is offering that. The collateral beauty of this moment is that we are being offered a moment to collectively grieve. And so I am
Mm.
giving myself that moment to grieve
Mhm.
and to
Mhm.
protect myself. And protection looks like if I ain't got it today, I don't have to explain why.
Yeah.
I just ain't got it. It looks like acting my wage at work. It means
Mm.
having the boundaries with the friends that in this season, I don't have capacity to be there for them in a way that they might need because they just might need a lot more than what I can give. It means naming that for them, not just ghosting, but naming that. It means understanding there's some family members that no matter what I do, I will never be able to just, not have to engage with them,
Yeah.
but reframing my energy in a way where, again, it's the capes, right? I know I have to deal with these particular family members or these particular folks in this way. Like I'm not just going to turn away from them. But that does mean if I'm going to continue to give them energy, I have to give less in some other areas, which I can, and being
Mm.
honest about that. And so
Mhm.
that's what my self-care looks like, grief and protection.
I would have, I mean, that's like, yes, that is like really like, okay, grief is a form of caring for myself. I think you saying that for me personally just opened up something, it like unlocked something in me and the way I look at grief. And I'm sure that there are other people on this call that are having the same like, oh, like it's kind of an aha moment for me, like, oh,
Yeah.
grief is caring for myself. It is a form of self-care. which makes it not, for me, it makes it not as scary
Yeah.
to approach or to lean into if I'm
Yeah.
caring for myself. Um, oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you for that. I just felt that in my body unlock. It doesn't feel as daunting to lean into grief
Yeah.
as it did before. So thank you for
And
that.
of course, I mean, it's still hard.
Yeah.
It doesn't make
Right.
what we're grieving any easier. And I am giving myself permission to feel it
Yeah.
in a way where I wouldn't before. I would have jumped into fixing and doing. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna see what else this brings up for me.
Yeah. The picture that I'm getting in my mind is the way I hold, like physically hold people that are grieving,
Hmm. Yes.
how deeply I just kind of wrap my arms around them and pull them in. That's what I'm envisioning. It's like caring for myself in that way,
Yeah.
leaning in and like kind of wrapping myself up and giving myself a moment to just, you know, be a mess if I need to be a mess or feel the feelings, right? Like without judgment,
Hmm.
right? And so
Hmm.
that's the image that's coming up for me is like doing that from like kind of like wrapping myself up and
Yeah.
saying,
You
come here,
absolutely.
you know?
You're being Katara for Katara.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you don't judge when a friend is grieving and they're just like
No,
crying and snotting into your shirt. You're not judging them.
no,
You're
not at
just saying
all.
yeah, that self-care looks like turning that inward, giving yourself
Yeah.
that same gift.
Yeah. So powerful. Oh my gosh, there was just so much wisdom in this conversation. I can't wait to re-listen to it and take notes. I did have my pen and paper out. I do have some notes. So if you saw me looking down, I was like, okay, writing that. So I'm going to go back and listen to this with my notepad and take all the notes. It was so good. I know that my listeners are gonna just eat up this conversation and want more. So for those of you that are listening, we will have Aseanté back on. We will
Yay.
bring her back
Wonderful.
because I know that there's so many of my listeners that are getting so much out of this conversation and the wisdom that you brought, um, and just bringing who you are, all of you. My interactions with you, I appreciate who you are, the essence that you bring and that you carry. Um, you are truly a healer. Um, and I feel that. I feel that today, and I've felt that in every interaction that I've had with you. And thank you for the internal work that you've done. I know that's been some deep work for you to be able to show up and hold space for us. So thank you for the work that you've done and the space that you hold and the healing um, that you continue to do. My hope for you is that you get that in return. Spaces are being held for you, and I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So thank you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for chatting with us today. If folks want to follow your work, follow you, get more wisdom, where do they do that? How do they find you? Where do they follow you?
Just honestly, my name
Mhm.
on all the platforms, Aseanté Renee. You just do that, or you can go to retiringsuperwoman.com and look at what we are doing, the events that we are hosting, and donate. The actual conference will be free because I'm a firm believer in healing equity, and going to conferences is actually a privilege. Some people can't afford to travel and get
Mm.
hotels and take time off from work and have childcare and all those things. And so I understand the privilege around that. And so the actual conference is completely free. And so if you would donate to that, or somebody in New York who can give me a venue, hit me up, email me, message me, DM me. But thank you for trusting me with your listeners. I don't take that lightly. As a fellow healer, I know you are also fiercely protective of your people. So as my grandmama said, you let me in your house and cook in your kitchen. I don't take that lightly. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, listeners, I hope that this has been for a conversation that has hit home for you. It has for me. Yeah. And until next time, keep exhaling. Exhale is a social movement prioritizing the overall well-being of Black women. You can join our movement by subscribing to this podcast and downloading Exhale app, and by continuing to prioritize yourself and your well-being. Keep taking deep inhales and long, long exhales. Until next time.